Hello, everyone. Welcome back to JesterBell and the wonderful world of reviewing the wonderful films that are coming out in 2024 for us all to enjoy. The year kicked off with Captain America: Brave New World. And then it continued on with March's movie, Snow White, starring Rachel Zegler. And now we're continuing on with the Minecraft movie as our big movie for April. And what a wonderful year it has been for films. I just love going to the cinema and watching what creative ideas are coming from the think tank of Hollywood now. And obviously we are here to talk about the latest such think tank, the latest such monstrosity, the Minecraft movie. Now, I went to this film, and unlike Captain America: Brave New World, unlike Snow White, the theater was packed with kids. This movie is going to make a lot of money. And that is both a good thing and a bad thing, because right now I am desperate for anything to keep the theaters alive. But is this corporate slop really what's going to do the trick of it? And I kind of feel bad because there was this little boy there at the theater and he had his little Mario doll with him ready to watch the Minecraft movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sonny boy. When this movie is done, I'm gonna get on my computer like the woman child I am and tell you why the film you just enjoyed is abject slop. But you will thank me for it when you're older, because a year from now, you probably won't even enjoy this film anymore. So the Minecraft movie is exactly what the trailer for the movie would suggest it was. A bunch of grown adults screaming and making faces. There is no pretense of a plot to this film, or any really desire to properly develop its characters. More on that in a second. It's funny, though, because what little theme at all is sparsely peppered on to this movie, it's creativity. Now, what kind of creativity? I don't know. Is it talking about how creativity is hard, but it still should be pursued? Is it talking about how creators tend to be the most ridiculed people and questioning why exactly that is? I don't know. The movie says both things at certain intervals, but its theme isn't exactly interwoven through what plot we might have. It's just sort of sparsely sprinkled on where they bring it up at a couple intervals, but don't actually make it into an actual plot. And that's why I just think it's so ironic, is that the only vague attempt at doing a theme for this movie was the theme of creativity, yet this is the most least creative thing you could have possibly done with a Minecraft movie. The most laziest, easy thing possible that once again makes me question if Hollywood has just resorted to all of its scripts being written by AI. But anyway, let's get into the experience with the Minecraft movie as I sat there just desperately. And I've had this sensation through all three major films that I've seen this year. The sensation of, I can't wait for this film to end. It certainly was another grueling experience, but hey, that's just the way it is to review movies these days. And I realized as I was sitting there watching the film, I realized, the worst part of my job, and I love my job, but the worst part of my job is actually watching the current films to have to review on this channel and how painful that is. But anyway, the plot of the Minecraft movie. It didn't have a plot. In the beginning, it was this something about Jack Black being captured and there being something that he needs to get, but it kind of forgot about that, and he escapes from the place that he was being held captive in, Jack Black, but I think I must have had just tuned out at that point. I didn't see how he escaped, he just did. And then it's so contrived, because then they introduced their characters, except they're not characters, and the movie doesn't really have any interest in these characters. They're more like obligations. Like any film has to have its NPCs, right? It spends a whole lot of time introducing Jack Black as Steve, and he really doesn't have any other character other than being Steve from Minecraft. And it spends an entire opening sequence introducing him, and then it does an entire, like, maybe 10-minute sequence introducing Jason Momoa as this a man-child character who's super insecure. But then after that, then it goes to another character, the little boy, who's kind of like the audience surrogate. And it then goes to introduce his character and all of his problems with his life and all of that. So it's like 3 intros for these different characters, one of which seems like he's supposed to be the protagonist, even though he isn't introduced until later. But don't worry, the movie will have no interest in these characters going forward. What they are going to be is props for the actual story, as it were, which isn't even really anything other than characters get transported into Minecraft, and the way it happens is so contrived. Basically, the little boy picks up the thing that transfers you there, transfers him to the mines, calls his sister to pick him up there, and then when they're all there, it just magically transports them into the Minecraft. It's the most contrived thing ever just to get them there in the first place. And when they get there, there isn't even like a strong desire to get home or anything. And they vaguely pepper on that this kid wants to stay here because he can just be creative here, but then they just make him change his mind later on, and there's no real catharsis about it or anything that made him want to go home. He just does. And there's a scene in the film where he's in a dream sequence of people ridiculing him for his creativity, but it doesn't really affect his character at all or create any sort of arc. Like I said, the theme and the development, as it were, in this film is just sprinkled on as a courtesy. Like, hey, these are things that movies are supposed to have. What this movie is, consistently throughout the entire thing, is basically what it wants to be: Jack Black walking you through Minecraft and talking about all the things you could do. Here's a reference. You can pick up a bone and get a dog to be your friend. You can combine these things together and get buckets. You can combine these things together and get food. That is what the almost entirety of the film is Jack Black walking you through Minecraft, talking about all of the things that you can do in it. So on the one hand, for the people who already play Minecraft, it's just a barrage of references to that game you play, and that's supposed to be the entertainment. For anyone else, it feels like one big advertisement to play Minecraft, and that is the movie at hand throughout the entire thing. The characters are non-existent. They are as two-dimensional as it comes, if not one-dimensional, and whatever development they go on, once again, doesn't actually happen more than characters will just... The one character will be insecure in one scene and reveal how insecure he is, and then in the next scene, he'll be over it and he'll be better. The little boy, they seem like he's going to be the protagonist of the film, but he doesn't actually go on an arc. It feigns going on an arc. He talks about, he gets to a low point where he wants to stay in a world where he can just be creative and not be made fun of for it, and by the end, like I said, he just changes his mind and goes back home, and then people appreciate him for his creativity. There's no actual event that makes the change happen. It just does. And so because this movie is wholly uninterested in its characters. As for other people, like I said, Jack Black has no character. The sister in the movie has no character other than worrying over her responsibility, the most generic sister trope possible. The actress for the sister was so young looking and played it so young that it felt like she was a 12-year-old, so it didn't really make sense for her to have a job and be owning a house. And then there's the most baffling character in the film. I don't even know her name. She was the one character where no attempt whatsoever was made in even making her a character. She was the realtor that sold the sister her house, and then the sister couldn't find the brother, so she called the realtor to help her. And then the realtor comes along with them on this mission, and she dispenses advice at some points, but really doesn't have any character or motivation whatsoever than screaming at the camera and making silly faces. I don't even know who she is. She was just there. It was so baffling. What is she doing in this movie? But like I said, the movie is wholly uninterested in its characters. What it is interested in is referencing Minecraft and having the actors make silly sounds, scream, and make silly faces to key jangle in front of the audience for an hour and a half or so. And what the movie is really more so interested than its characters is having Jason Momoa and Jack Black, two people who are playing adult man children who make silly voices. It's interested in having having them scream together and do silly things together because they're both playing adult man children. Jason Momoa is kind of playing it up like Thor in Love and Thunder. And there's basically, rather than actually develop its characters or make anything interesting about them or develop a theme consistently throughout the movie, it's more interested in these scenes of Jack Black and Jason Momoa doing silly things together. And that led to a very odd scene in the film. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring it up, and then I saw that other people were, so apparently it wasn't just me. But there's this scene where they're running from the bad pigs and they're trying to get away. And so Jack Black and Jason Momoa need to glide away from them through the air to escape. And what happens is Jack Black is riding atop Jason Momoa with his hips around him and is like, yeah, you got to do this with your hips or something. And then there's this weird thing is as they're first flying through the sky with Jack Black and he's riding back Jason Momoa, then he says, we have to do it this way. And then so what happens is they lay torso to torso, chest to chest. So one one way, one the other way, so that Jason Momoa's head is between Jack Black's legs and Jack Black's head is between Jason Momoa's hips. And, you know, it's supposed to be awkward and silly, and I'm sure that it'll just go over a kid's head, but I just thought it was kind of a weird scene to put in a kid's film, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, and it could just be that I am a jaded adult. I have seen too much bad stuff on the internet and through all these other things that I was uncomfortable with the scene for those reasons, but I just thought it was a really strange scene to put in a kid's film, and I just wanted to bring that up because the rest of the film isn't even like that, and I would normally call the film harmless, at least on that level, but I just thought that was kind of odd. But anyway, was there any time that I laughed in the film at all? When the lady, the real estate agent, first flies through the portal, she hits Jason Momoa with her backside and he falls over. I was immature enough to laugh at that. There was one joke at the end where like this pig creature, I guess I won't spoil the joke if you guys want to see the movie. There was one that I laughed there, and I guess I won't spoil when it happens, but when they were really building up that this big creature was going to come and fight them. It's the worst creature ever, and it was the child from Minecraft, you know, the child zombie. That was the only time that a reference made me laugh, because that child zombie is really terrible to fight, and I have had horrible encounters with it. So yeah, but that was about it. There's no plot to this movie. Its themes and any character development it has is just peppered on. Like the little boy it has this scene where Jason Momoa says, "I have no friends," and then the little boy's upset and they're like, "I was your friend." And I'm like, you guys shared 2 sentences together in the beginning, and then you decided that you were friends, I guess. Like, there's no build up to this at all. It's just exactly what it was in the corporate setting that it was devised. Like, hey, are we gonna write the Minecraft movie? Write the Minecraft movie? Are you kidding? They knew full well it doesn't matter what you do. You just put Minecraft on the title and have it be visually referential to the games, and it'll make a lot of money. And this will make a lot of money. And can't fault them for that after years of companies doing ideas that don't even make money and don't even get people into the theater. I suppose that's fine, but here's the problem is, like I alluded to in the beginning, this kind of stuff will not last. Kids are not going to look back at this very fondly as they get older, because there's really nothing to it actually other than references to that other thing that you like. And the problem is it's not really a film. It's just more content, more stuff that's easily churned out and easy to get attention, but is disposable and people will forget about the next day. After Snow White, after Captain America Brave New World, I think we're finally done with the culture war discussion around major blockbusters. I think that films like Minecraft are going to try to be as safe and inoffensive as possible and as easy as possible to capitalize on people's interest in these IPs, because that is all that it seems these companies are greenlighting anymore. But the problem is that the only reason why people go see these IP films is because they have an emotional attachment developed by something else that was better. And so it isn't going to last constantly. We've already seen it, that Disney live action remakes may have run out of time. Star Wars may have run run out of time. You can't milk IPs to death and have it last forever. It isn't a sustainable model. Even if it gets some temporary money to theaters, it's not going to really create much of a long-lasting experience that give people really a love for going to the theaters or a love for movie making, because this isn't really filmmaking more than it is just content. So if these are the kinds of films that we need to depend on to keep the theaters alive, then we are in some very big trouble with all of this. But it's kind of sad looking out to the future. While I'm glad that this will at least give some money to the theaters, it's not going to make it last, and it really is not keeping cinema alive, this stuff. There were so many things that you could have done with a Minecraft movie that would have been, as the movie's barely applied theme suggests, more creative, more solid, been more than just a quick April cash grab. But unfortunately, these days we don't, completely going against what the theme of this movie was supposed to be, we don't prioritize creativity. We prioritize what's easy and what's quick and what gains we can get in the moment rather than the long-term games. And that's kind of unfortunate to watch such a corporate slop movie that is feigning that creativity is important, and that at one point tries to posture that, yeah, creativity is harder, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be pursued, when this movie went to the easiest thing it could possibly do, capitalizing on a Minecraft movie rather than doing the harder thing and trying to make something with the concept of this other world where you need to build things to survive, and there's all these weird creatures in it, and you make that into something more long-lasting. Maybe harder to make because, as this movie says, that's what creativity is, but it would have been better in the long run. That's all I got for you guys today in reviewing the endless slop from Hollywood today. Enjoy the film if you must. I didn't find anything to enjoy about it, but eventually, sooner or later, there has to be something done that's more than just these IP cash grabs. All I got for you guys today. Thank you, patrons, as always. If you want to support my work, please consider becoming a Patreon, and I will see you next time.